In case you've missed what happened on the previous episode, let me fill you in real quick. The team packed up, headed down to the Peterson Museum, where we were actually able to put our hands on a scaled replica of the Halo Infinite Warthog. The crew was able to take much needed measurements and see some design features and ideas and take things that we could actually implement into our tire shredding Warthog. Soupy and Hurt had long extensive conversations with the team over at Halo to really figure out what details they were looking for in the Halo Infinite Warthog.
Okay, that's enough. Let's get started.
If you're sitting there wondering how we're going to take this 6,000 pound armored fighting vehicle known as the Warthog up to speeds of 100 plus miles an hour and be able to climb over rough terrains and boulders, let's just say everything is going to be big, real big. Tires real big, motor real big, transmission real big, everything real big. Bigger might be better in this case. So if you can imagine, we're going to be doing a Ford Windsor V8, 438 cubic inch twin spoolie boys, while hooking that to a Gearstar Supermatic 80 transmission. We'll be adding in massive Pro Billet torque converters and an Atlas 2-speed transfer case.
We're getting the engine and the transmission in the correct place.
We had to cut a whole bunch of stuff because we didn't realize that the transfer case was huge.
Yeah, it's a big unit. We were also having troubles with the suspension mount point right here. It was actually touching where it was before, and then Soupy.
And replay.
Before and then Soupy cut these bars so that he could move the transfer case on the transmission forward 2 inches. Soupy's gonna have to make a new bar to actually attach the transmission to the actual chassis. Other than that, I mean, everything's looking pretty good. I mean, it's pretty monstrous.
Choosing an engine package that's going to go into our Halo Warthog was no easy feat. No, considering the Halo Warthog that's in Infinite is a 12-liter hydrogen-injected internal combustion engine motor that makes quite a bit of power, but is only capable of 78 miles an hour. Now, if I go through my notes right here, we found the secret recipe. It was right in front of our face the entire time. It's simple math. This is not space-age technology. Tons of horsepower right there. All you have to do is add a bunch of turbos, a bunch of displacement, and some really good parts, and we're going to be making over 1,000 horsepower easily out of this thing.
We're here today at Redline in their VIP suite. My man Rudy over here already has our engine block on the engine stand. He already did a bunch of prep work. The ring's already gapped, the bearings are already clearanced. Rudy, why don't you give us a little something about this motor?
This is the dark engine, cast iron, 4 Windsor 351. We bore in a stroke to 438.
So basically, you already clearanced everything, you already measured everything. So we have to put in the crank today, the pistons, the rods, and those are our heads right there. So the heads are gonna go down, and basically we're gonna assemble the long block. Okay, great. Block. He doesn't need me here. I'm gonna let him get to work, get out of his hair, let him do his thing. Heads are on, push rods are in, lifters are in, cam is in because I see the timing chain on. It looks really good. A couple more little bits and pieces and we're done. I guess I'll be back in a few days to pick this up.
Taking a vehicle which was initially a 20-foot long, 10-foot wide vehicle and cramming it into a much more refined, smaller packaged Warthog. A lot of things had to be considered, right? If Master Chief is over 7 feet tall, we basically had to find somebody that was almost a 1-to-1 scale model. So we called up Brian Scotto. Yes, Master Chief may be surviving off of health packs and an adrenaline junkie. Brian Scott, on the other hand, is 8 feet tall, nearly 1,000 pounds, but survives off caffeine and pizza. Once we started installing the much larger components, we had to really start looking at the driver's compartment, considering that we have to maintain the look and the appeal of what the Warthog was, we had to compromise a little bit of the space. So the driver compartment may be compromised to where our Master Chief may have to be the size of Danger Dan.
Steering is just lines, right?
Yeah, we
Like
can
there's
move the
no-
steering anywhere. What if you move the steering closer to you? It gets away from your knee, right?
If it was on an angle, it would. You know, before the pedals were like here.
No, I'm saying like...
Is that better? And with the pedals out here, it's okay. But it's still pretty close.
Can you push the pedal box forward?
Yeah, but look, his
Gets
foot's
worse.
hitting the block. Like if he jams on it, he's gonna hit the corner of the head.
Because I was thinking if you could add a little bit more angle to this, it won't be a drastic height change, but it'll change where your hand is here. If you cut this plate off and you
Move it
just clocked it a little bit to have some angle, I think that would help too. Again, probably easier said than done.
Dude, this is one montage away from being fixed.
I'm not doing that.
What do we got here? We have an improvised drive shaft loop, making out a 1.5 inch material. Gonna chop that, then we're gonna weld these two together, and these will go like that. But imagine both of them together. You have to use your imagination.
So fuel, cell. Yeah, I had to weld the bungs in. Originally we were gonna fill from the side. I had to weld that in because there was a big old hole there. So now I'm gonna weld in the breather and then I have to weld in the return. But before I weld in the return, I'm gonna make a little tube because if you look inside, there's like a baffle in there. So I'm gonna weld a tube to the bottom of this that just kind of travels into the baffle.
Is this just a universal tank that you guys picked up?
No.
You made it?
Custom made. Come on, man.
Well, that's all over now.
Here we go into the future.
It's been a while since we've seen you, but we've done a lot of work to the Warthog. First off, we got the cooling system all sorted out. Got a cross tube here. We've got all our radiators mounted to the chassis. Everything's welded. We also have the radiators tied together. Had to do some cutting in the welding of all the ports. Had to block off some of the old ones. So we got that all sorted out, ready to connect that into the engine. We got another cooler up front. We got our water pump. This is a cooler that's gonna go to the beautiful pan sump thingy that Soupy made for our intercooler system. And look at this. Soupy has welded on these tabs, these mounts, to the dry sump pan. That's a 4-gallon dry sump. That is huge. Did a bunch of other welding to the chassis. Got these tabs welded on to mount the cooling tank for the intercooler. Got the compressor system mounted as well. So yeah, made a lot of progress since the last time. But now we are going to be moving towards this engine here that Soupy picked up yesterday. Gonna be dropping that in here, and we'll move on to the next stuff.
Are you gonna make the transmission with the engine?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna bake cookies. What does it look like I'm doing, man?
Okay, whoa, bro! What are you doing?
Dude, I do not trust the 2x4.
I got it. Stop. Okay.
engine is finally in.
How do you feel about the fitment?
It's tight. You want to see something cool? We planned that.
Is it okay that it's like that?
It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. The motor's solid mounted. It's not going anywhere.
So as you guys know, we're probably known for having some of the cleanest cars. Like I can name a few. Rail car, scumbug, shit car. All the cars that we build are usually SEMA worthy. So when it came time to building the Warthog, we wanted to make sure that this car was on the same caliber of some of our other cars. One of the most stressful parts that we didn't really anticipate, because we assumed we would have all the space in the world, right? We're starting off with this massive chassis, but after really cutting it down and dissecting the chassis, we realized that we really didn't have much space left. So now when it came time to building headers, engine harness, and running the plumbing, we're gonna be really tight on space. And that's one of the most stressful parts. So the boys had to get to work and figure out how to build a setup that would function properly as well as look good.
I haven't seen it drop down.
Dude, it looks pretty sick at this height.
Oh, I haven't seen with the engine in it. Damn. Can we turn off the front wheel drive? Like, can we make it rear wheel only?
We can make it front wheel drive, rear wheel drive.
Sick. Woo! You know what that means? You can do reverse burnouts, because it also does all gears, all directions, right?
Yeah.
So you can do reverse burnouts by locking the back wheels and just making the front wheels spin, just because you can.
Oh, of course. Are we gonna keep rear steer?
But the rear steer is only at low speed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Only at low speed with the joystick. One hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the joystick.
Make sure you timestamp this moment, because we're gonna have to cut back to that when someone flips this thing using rear steer at high speed.
We got two professionals, sort of, maybe a little bit, that came in today, and these guys are gonna come in, help us wire this, because it's a lot more complicated than we are used to, that I'm used to, because there's a lot going on in here, and these guys came here to help.
I'm Nathan Sugano from Redline Performance. I do the technical sales over there, and yeah.
I'm Jared from Redline Performance. I do the wiring, electronics, a little bit of programming.
So what are you guys working on today?
Today we're going to do the main layout, measuring, and then we'll come back with the product. No fun cutting or splicing today. Just basically getting a full list of everything, fans, pumps, and links. Not much more to it than that. Front inverter.
So fail safe, so it's super important. Whatever we need to do for speed, don't forget this is not always going to be in an open area. We're not going to have GPS all the time. It's got to be like the Swiss Army knife. It's got to do everything okay.
So you guys doing any jumping?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. What do you say? Right here, right?
Now that the Redline crew finally got all the measurements that they needed to continue to finish their masterpiece, Soupy and the crew got back to doing what they do best, and that's grinding. There ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. Now during this time, yes, this just wasn't recorded yesterday. We worked between November all the way up through January, which some of this, hopefully you guys would understand, wasn't documented. But we did jump back into the project about mid-January, which gave everybody enough time, including the Redline crew, to finish up all the loose ends.
What's the issue you and Chan are trying to resolve today?
Because we're using like a CAN bus system, which is here, you know, the PDM module stuff. So we have to program all the outputs. It's not just like a throw a switch and it turns on. So we have to tell the computer how to turn things on. You have to tell it amperage and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how many amps before it trips. So it's a full diagnostic. So what happens is when this thing's away from us, if there's something that goes wrong, we could dial into it and say exactly what is wrong with the car through the CAN bus. We could tell exactly where it's been, how fast it went, exactly what's wrong with it, or if anything's wrong with it, what systems are tripped, what it needs. You know, if it even needs an oil change, we'll know.
We don't have all day, Grandpa. Come on.
Warthog starts up and it didn't catch on fire for the first time. Hey, that means we can start moving on to the other details. We're gonna start building body panels. We're gonna start looking for the wheel and brake combination that is gonna best fit. We also get it to a point where the harnesses and the plumbing is all dialed in, so it's gonna be close to being roadworthy.
Oh, by the way, look, this is how you're supposed to treat a rotary. You see that? You make it into furniture because they never run right. Rotary. Yeah, no, this is what you do with rotary stuff. Just rotary parts in general. Make them to a clock. This is the only way it's reliable. Ooh, yeah, hurt. I said it.